What's up, everybody? Hoorah, David Kurz here. Going live right now, waiting for Mike Cuevas to come on. Mike Cuevas is the founder and creator of the Attractor program. And today we're going to talk about how to attract business versus chase business, right? And I think that that's a very good topic to talk about because I feel like people need to understand truly that you can attract business. You don't always have to be chasing it. People are always out there chasing the next sale, the next sale, the next sale, the next dollar, the next this, the next that. So coming on board.
How you doing?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too,
I'm good,
man. It's
man.
been a
I'm
minute.
good. I'm
It's
just
been a minute.
getting.
So you've been
I know.
traveling a little
I
bit,
know.
huh?
I know. That's right. I have. We've been. We just launched a tractor. We're running around the country and promoting it and bringing it out, doing a lot of videos, and it's been
Awesome,
a
man.
lot of fun. So, how
So
about
I've
yourself? What are we
I've
talking about
spent
today?
the entire morning talking to different people about branding, brand development, self-branding, exposure, and all that other stuff. And you're kind of like the expert in this right now. I introduced everybody a little, or I introduced you a little while ago to everybody, and I talked about how you are the founder of Attractor, and that today we're going to talk about personal branding and then exposing your personal brand and how important it is to attract business versus chasing business all the time. Because I feel like real estate agents are constantly
Yes.
on the chase. They're calling, they're doing the cold calls, they're doing the door knocking, they're doing the warm calls, they're doing the network calls. So it's a constant chase. You're constantly in a race, and everyone is always in front of you. And so you are. I want to talk to you about getting in front of the race, right? Being number one in the race, crossing the finish line first, and sitting with everybody and saying, okay, yo, chase me now. I'm the business maker. I'm the one you should
Yep.
be hiring. I'm the top agent in your area. I was talking about like maybe micro farming to become the micro celebrity, right? Maybe
Yep.
you have no interest in becoming a massive celebrity like me. I want to be on every television channel in the world, but not everybody wants that, right? Some
Yes, you
people just
do.
want to be,
Yeah.
some people
Hey.
just want to be the celebrity in their neighborhood, right?
Right. So
All right.
let's start out with this. And I believe your personal brand is all we have left in real estate right now because 96% of consumers don't choose the brand they're affiliated with. They choose the agent. And I guarantee
Right.
you the 4% of consumers that actually choose the agent are in the super duper luxury markets that are on the coast, like talking the $5+ million properties.
Right.
So with that being said, 66% of business last year still came as a result of referral and repeat clients. And the reason why having your personal brand is so important is because it's just a way to stay fucking remembered. Let's be honest. It's
Right.
not top of mind brand awareness is the whole key of the business. You have to, your audience first. Who's your audience? Your audience is your database of relationships because you do not get referrals or repeat clients from complete strangers. So
Right.
once you recognize your audience, building your personal brand is just a way to stay in front of them and not
Right.
be forgotten about. Um, David, everyone wants to chase leads, right? When I'm marketing, I don't want to chase leads. I want to chase the attention of my audience. I want them to say, I want them to associate real estate with my name, and that's the only goal. When that
Right.
happens, it's extremely powerful because 60 to 70% of people are still going to use the first person they speak with. Those stats really haven't changed that much. It's just how do you become the first person they speak with? Top of mind brand awareness, be everywhere all the freaking time. And
Right.
video is just one of those ways to do that and expand on that and amplify those efforts.
Actually, in the first book
Does
that
that
I
make
wrote,
sense?
yeah, in the first book that I wrote, which is the Blueprint, I wrote it with a friend of mine and Rudy Hernandez, who owns New World Title here in Miami. And so one of the things that we said was be everywhere all the time. And he made this joke on how he went to a baseball game or a football game. I can't remember. And he was on like the 200 level or the 300 level, and he went up all the way to the top. And he took like 100 business cards and he just shot them into the sky. And he actually got a call out of this. The guy called him up. He goes, yo, I was actually talking about real estate and your card came flying out of the sky. You know, and so
It was a message from God. Yeah.
and we made that joke, and we were like, the moral of the story is be everywhere all the time, be in people's face all the time and consistently giving massive amounts of free content about what they want to know about. And you need, in order to do that, you got to know your target audience, right?
Yep. Well, let's talk about that. That's very important because a lot of agents are like, what the fuck's my brand? What is my brand?
Right.
And honestly, like, here's the way to look at this. It's really simple. God only made one of you. So whether you want to admit it or not, there's something unique about you. I believe that every single one of us has a lot of different passions in life. And I think that your brand should be based upon your passion and your own shared interests. And let me put this into perspective. So we were helping a guy sort of rebrand his business in Denver. And we have another one that's in Minnesota, in Houston, that's coming on board. So when we help agents sort of rebrand the whole freaking thing. And where we start off with is sort of like a therapy session and figure out who the hell is this agent? So what are your passions? What are your interests? Long story short, this dude comes on and we realize that he gives 10% of his commissions to the dog shelter or the dog rescue. When he's not working, he's volunteering his time at the dog rescue. This dude doesn't sell houses anymore. He sells dogs' backyards. All right. It's not just sold. It's another dog's life just saved. And because he's a realtor, but he's a dog guy. And when you're true to your own brand, all you're really doing is just talking about the shit that you're already passionate about and relating your message to people that are also going to follow that message. Audience number one is always your database, the relationships you have in life.
Right. And I think,
Go ahead, Dave.
that passion is very important. I think you and I have similar passions. Our passions are marketing, right? We just happen to be in the real estate business.
Correct.
Right? Just like that
absolutely.
guy. His passion is dogs and shelters and everything else. And what a way to turn that into, I don't sell you homes anymore. I sell your dog a backyard. That's amazing, dude. That's phenomenal.
Well, it's a lot. Your brand is nothing. When you know what your brand is, you become a professional storyteller about it.
Right.
And, this is a way to look at it. Let's look at it. Facebook. We go to Facebook. We're going to see a lot of our friends right now talk about just sold, just listed. Great, buddy. You made fucking $15,000. No one gives a shit about that. The truth is that people don't want to hear about your brag reel. But if you started saying in this guy's case, it's not just sold, it's another dog's life just saved. Here's how. Okay. That's a different way of saying the same message, but saying it simultaneously.
So something we started doing
powerful.
Something we started doing at our company was, we told our agents, if your clients have a story, a good story, tell us and let us record that story. And so we've been able to do a few videos of kind of like behind the Kurz client, behind the Kurz client. And we've been able to talk about the nurse who's working 2 jobs to buy her first house. We've been able to talk about the family that immigrated from Guatemala and earned their citizenship and got great jobs and opened up businesses. And now they're buying their first home after 20 years, of being in the United States. Those are the stories that people want to hear. Those are the stories that we should personally brand. What are we passionate about? I'm passionate about veterans all day long, right? I spent 9 years in the United States Marine Corps. If I got back into selling real estate, should I not focus my passion? Right? Should I not focus on selling veterans homes?
No. Absolutely. And think about it, folks, this isn't anything special. HGTV exists for a reason. It's because there's an appetite to consume the content on that site. So quit overthinking all this shit and just start fucking being HGTV. It's really that simple. And all of that program is no different. Like I think the future of our business is through media creation around your brand in the form of videos, direct mail, consistent storytelling. But it's very important that that brand is unique and it's something that you're passionate about. It's funny you say that story. We had an agent the other day and she started a media series. Her whole brand's based on faith in Jesus Christ. And her brand name is called Faith and Vision. Now, what she started doing is she started a media series where she's following the clients and it's called Where Are They Now? And literally last weekend, she drove to Phoenix from San Diego to go do an interview with this client talking about their relocation out of California into Arizona and what they're doing now and why they moved. And as she creates that different media series, it's all of a result of using her as a realtor. You see, she's telling people how awesome she is, but she's not telling them, she's showing them, not through her own words, through someone else's, which is way more powerful.
That's amazing.
Than anything else.
And how is she putting that content out there?
Well, she goes out and shoots the video. She gives it to us, and then we do everything else.
Right. So
she just goes out and shoots the video.
Yeah, you're editing it. You're putting it together, but then it goes out on what platforms? Facebook, YouTube,
everything
you can imagine. Right.
We create a blog. We create a blog post. It becomes a case study that's on her website. So you host the video and the content and the story on your website, all of them. It gets promoted to all her social media channels. We'll video email the interview out to her entire database. But it's a lot easier to go ahead. Think about marketing your listings in a way of a story. I'll give you another example. We're creating a lot of case studies for these listings, so we document every single thing we have. And one of them was that we just recently did was a homeowner sold their house at the open house with 13 offers, and we created a case study out of it.
Right.
So our retargeting ad for the just sold wasn't just sold, I made 20 grand. It was this homeowner sold his house in 3 days at an open house with 14 offers for $17,173.65 over asking price. Here's how. So I'm going to click on that, but I'm not going to click on like
just sold.
Right.
Exactly.
With the realtor sharing the Zillow link on top of it.
Right. So
Go to Zillow's website.
I'm a big proponent of storytelling, right? I think it's you know, my wife always says you've always got stories. Every conversation we go, you got stories, you know? And so I'm a big advocate or a big proponent of storytelling. I feel like we need to be telling a story. And it can't just be, look at what a badass I am, right? It needs to be much more than that. Like, for instance, right now, we're inviting people to the Real Talk conference. We're telling them this is going to be Miami's premier conference. I have two choices. I can constantly do massive videos about myself and how I'm the badass hosting the Real Talk conference that will absolutely become Miami's #1 conference, because Miami just doesn't have really great real estate conferences or business conferences. It just doesn't, right? So we're trying to become that, right? Or I could interview people like you and show everyone and tell the story of what the conference is to become and why they should be coming to the conference, right? And sitting down with you and having this conversation with you through Facebook Live that everyone can watch now. They can watch it tonight. They can watch it tomorrow. It doesn't even freaking matter, right? But they're rocking and rolling, and they're going to see this, and they're going to say, damn, that guy Mike Cuevas is off the fucking chain. He's on the right path. I get what he's saying. What a great idea. I wonder if I go to the conferences, I'll walk away with 10 more nuggets.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that let's tie this in together, because people might be like, all right, well, how do I become a good storyteller?
Yes.
Well, you define your brand.
Go.
You define your brand first. If you can't tell a story when you don't know what the hell the story is. See, when you define your brand and you know what you stand for and you know it's passionate in life, you just start telling your story based around that. If you love fitness, become the fitness realtor and start providing financial fitness.
Right.
If you like, you know, it depends on what your passions are at. And what you'll start seeing is that you'll start attracting people that you should have known before but didn't, right? So there's two different audiences that you develop when you're building your brand. One is from the people that know, like, and trust you. That's where 65+% of business comes from each and every year, right?
Yes.
But the second audience are people that you don't know. We like to say a sister from another mister, brother from another mother. It's like me and you, David, when we met, we hit it off, right?
Right away.
We get along. We have the same things in common. If I didn't come into you at that event we did in Miami, I would have probably never had this conversation.
Right.
So, but how would I have found you? Well, we have a shared interest in marketing, video creation, and all of that. So what I'm saying is that if know who your audience is and whom you resonate with, and really it's a spitting image of yourself. It's really that simple. We rebranded an agent that was in the LGBT community. That's where 90% of their business comes from. So let's make it easy for them to connect with people they're going to connect with naturally anyways.
Right.
Right. And when you do that by sharing that brand story and tying it into everything you're doing on a daily basis.
That's amazing. All right. So let's talk about brand development, and then let's talk about what to do with it. So #1 piece of advice for brand development. What should people think about when they think about putting their brand together?
It's usually just a spitting image of yourself.
Right.
It's a deep dive. A lot of times it's
really hard for somebody to think about that, by the way. Like, it's hard for somebody to sit back and say, who am I?
Yeah, it is. And that when we start out with someone, we go through, and I'm not trying to plug ourselves, but I sort of am. So
No, do it all day long.
But when we start out with someone, what we do is we start off with a deep dive, and it's a 2-hour therapy session. Because it's very hard for an agent to sit out. And the biggest issue is you have to look at yourself as a brand. And most agents are like, holy shit, I'm a brand? No, I'm me.
Yeah.
So you have to understand is my brand is real estate marketing dude, but the real estate marketing dude and Mike Cuevas sleep in different beds at night. Real estate marketing dude sleeps in the garage. Mike Cuevas sleeps in bed.
Yeah.
All right. The real estate marketing dude, when I talk about him in the third person like that, because I am just the spokesperson for real estate marketing dude. And that mindset transformation shift is what allows you to be authentic, passionate, and whatnot. So once you know what that is, your brand should be based upon what your interests and shared passions are. If you're really big into your religion, build your brand off that. If you're a surfer, build your brand off that. If you're a chess player and you want to hang out with Bobby Fischer, then build your brand off that. It doesn't freaking matter what it is, but what you'll find out is that when you're very passionate about what you're doing, content creation, storytelling, and everything becomes very simple and natural. And that's why it's so important to understand what you stand for.
I just tagged a buddy of mine who I had a conversation with yesterday, who is kind of going through that very conundrum, right?
Yep.
They have a good business established, solid, and then an opportunity comes up, and that opportunity is still in the same business, but geared to something he's very passionate about. And my response to him was like, hey, listen, that's what you love and that's what you're passionate about. That's where you belong. Everything else is shit, right?
You're right. Exactly. You're exactly
everything
right.
else is shit. So
well, here's what I think most agents, and tell me if you see this in your brokerage with your agents, but everyone wants to be the jack of all trades.
Right.
I want to cater to everybody. I see so many agents go into the luxury market that aren't luxury agents, nor ever will be.
And they want to cater to everybody, or they want to be a luxury agent. That's it. Like, I just got my license yesterday, and I want to sell 5 million plus.
I'll make fun of myself. I am not a luxury agent. I have nothing in common with luxury people, really. So, I mean, like, I knew my brand was, once they went above 46 years of age, I lost them. No one thought the dude thing was that cool. But you know what? There were a lot of people who did. And when people would come in off the website, they'd come in, it was a come list me. It wasn't, hey, how are you? They weren't sizing me up. They've already done that because I built my sale on trust based on videos on site.
Right.
I'll give you another couple examples. Let me think of someone that we just recently redid. There's one guy, this is a funny story. So there's one guy that we worked with, and we rebranded him the House Doctor. Well, his story was that he used to own about 14 or 15 MRIs and MRI centers in the Temecula area.
Okay.
And when Obamacare ran him out of business, and he had to basically restart over. So what happens is that his whole network understands and notices him as a doctor. And now in all of his videos, he's wearing a white coat with a stethoscope. And what he does is he fixes house problems, because that's what a house doctor does. But this guy is absolutely, well, people are not going to remember his name. They're going to remember him wearing that white coat.
Right.
Right.
I got,
it's the same thing.
I have a mortgage group down here where one guy's name starts with an M. The other guy's name starts with a D. So they did the mortgage MDs. And they do the same thing. They have the white coat with the stethoscope, and their whole team sitting around them. Very cool photo. You know, the two of them dressed with the white coats, and the rest of the team all just kind of sitting around.
People remember that.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Right. And here's the other thing too, is that you guys have to realize that everyone lives somewhere. That's the best thing about real estate. This isn't financial planning where not everyone invests in IRAs or 401ks or any of that boring shit. Everyone lives somewhere. It's not a matter of when or if they're going to move. It's a matter of when. I don't know what your market is, but nationally, what, 5 to 8 years?
Yeah.
7 to 9 years?
7.
It's a numbers game. So if you have 100 people in your database that you consistently market, 7 of them are fucking moving.
Yeah.
But 100 of them know someone who's moving they can refer you to.
Right.
When they connect with you, you're going to start attracting versus chasing business. Your personal brand is how you do that, through consistency. And you could compare this through, I think the best way to build your brand is through video right now.
I agree.
But you have to do it consistently. And let's compare it to direct mail farming. If I'm going to go farm a neighborhood, 500 doors, I'm going to go to your market in Miami, and 500 doors. And I said, okay, we're going to farm this neighborhood. After year 1, I could expect maybe 1 to 2, 1 to 3 listings. Year 2 is 3 to 5. Year 3 and beyond is 5, 7 plus. But over time, you start to see the increase.
Right.
Now, what would happen if I took off 2 months from that campaign?
You're done.
And if I said, you know what, I don't want to farm them from December through February because I'm going to go golfing.
No, you're done. You're done.
You got to be consistent with
done.
it. And it's no different with the consistency in video production.
Yeah, I think you and I, I'll always love talking to you because we speak the same language. We say a lot of the same things, like be everywhere all the time. And the other thing is I always say real estate is a 60 to 90 day business, meaning whatever you do today is going to result in 60 to 90 days. So that means that if you take a month off, you can assume that in 60 to 90 days, you will have a month with no income, right?
Yeah.
And so I consistently teach that and coach that. And you're right, video marketing is the same exact way. I myself, who I believe wholeheartedly, I've built a large part of my network and career through social media platforms, right? I've done a lot of business. I've personally, with my team, have sold over 1,000 homes in my career, right? Which is 12 years long. And so that's a hell of a network, but the rest of my network, they're all watching me on social media, right? And so I myself, in the beginning of this year, took a break because I started focusing on Kurz Real Estate and getting Kurz Real Estate up, not realizing that taking that break was only hurting Kurz Real Estate. Because my exposure is what allowed me to open doors and get to 80 plus agents in a year,
And you saw the drop off.
And I saw the drop off. Next thing you know, we were 60 something agents and almost 50 agents. And I was like, whoa, what happened? I had to sit back, reevaluate what happened. And then I realized that we wouldn't stick to our original culture and what we were doing, which was video, exposure, live feeds, so forth and so on. And I had to get heavy, back into it,
Yeah. Dude, that's funny you say that. That happens, and I think a lot of the reason for that is that consistency is, I think, at least in this business, is everything. And you got to be consistent in farming, you're consistent in your follow-up. Look at any guru. I mean, it doesn't matter what you're doing. We're not saying there's a super right way, super wrong way to do business, but everything has one thing in common, and that's consistency.
Right.
Regardless in what it is. I think what happens with a lot of agents is that, and this is the thing with video, is that there's no quantifier. I can't tell you that what your ROI on video for the next 12 months is going to be.
Right.
And a lot of agents will look at video production, media creation, and they'll sit there and say, well, that's going to cost me $8,400. But the difference between video production and brand building versus Zillow is that the video lives forever.
Right.
Once your day one, next month comes through with Zillow, your ad spend, you either had an ROI or you didn't.
Or you didn't. Period. End of story. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Period. End of story. There is not anything you can quantify towards building your own personal brand, because the truth is you don't know the impact that it made on somebody else.
Right.
You don't know the impact that it's instilled in their head. And when you do that consistently, business starts finding you and you stop chasing it.
Right. That's exciting. And so that was going to lead into my next question, which we talked about brand development. So now I've developed a brand. I am David Kurz, the veteran realtor, right? United States Marine Corps Sergeant, here to put you in your home, right?
Yep.
How do I expose that? Video? Where do I put the videos?
Social. So one of the different things, first I would optimize and rank every single video that you do for search, because in YouTube, that thing's going to live there forever. My most successful video, and I've never had a video that went viral or anything like that I could take credit to, but I could tell you that I was consistent in my video game. And the videos that you create that you least expect anything to happen from ended up being my biggest winners.
Yeah.
My most profitable video was a loft rental. And the loft rental turned into a lot of lead generation. And I was just doing the video to please the client, but I'm consistent in what I'm doing. I always did video for every listing. That consistency in my level of service finally had one where I just broke right through, and it turned into well over $75,000 in commissions in a 12-month period just from one video.
Right.
And that thing's still spitting out leads, and that's the way you want to look at it. So one is you ought to optimize the video to rank so it can be searched. So in the military man, Miami veteran realtor is what I would rank that
right.
with. Your jingle on the videos that you create is probably either opening and ending with ooh-ah,
Yeah, exactly.
right? That's the
But
jingle.
now,
And
by
think
the
of,
way, that is my thing. Like that's my thing. When we talk about my
I
brand
know,
and
I see
stuff
on your
like that,
email
you see it all the
signature.
time.
Yep.
My email signature
Yep.
says "Ura." All my meetings in my office start with "Ura." When I do public speaking, I teach everybody what that means, and then we continue that throughout the discussion. So I'll say, "Do you understand what I'm saying?" Everyone says "Ura," right? And so that's my thing. No
Totally.
one else, that's no one else's thing. That's my baby. Of course
You got
it's the Marine Corps thing, but I'm talking about this side of business.
right. It's your jingle, and it's no different. Remember when
Right.
we were kids, the what was the Wendy's campaign? Got meat?
Yeah.
Remember that? I'm still talking about that today
What
because
about
that
the
was the
milk
jingle.
campaign?
What
Got
about
milk?
the
Remember?
milk
Got
campaign?
milk?
Got milk.
Yeah.
We're still talking about
Yep.
that.
Where's the
So
beef?
that jingle is, where's the beef? Oh no, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Where's
The beef?
That's right. But once you get that done, promote it to all your social channels. How many agents say, "Oh, I'm going to only get promoted on my business page"?
Yeah. Nah. I put
And
it
it's like,
everywhere.
dude, you're not cool. You're not that cool. People aren't following your business
No.
page, dude. You're a realtor.
As a matter of fact,
There's nothing there.
right now, you and I are live on my personal page. And then this
Yeah.
is being shared. I got my marketing guy in the back, and he shared it to all the different channels, all the different
Yep.
business pages that we host and maintain. So this is where it's at, dude. This is where it's at right here.
I agree.
This is where my
Personal page.
personal network is. This is where they are. I am not famous
Yep.
by far. If I was,
Yep.
like we got Josh Altman coming in. Josh Altman does a lot of stuff on his business page. Why? Because he has, 30,000,
following.
40,000, 50,000, whatever it is, followers, 100,000 followers worldwide. So that.
Well, let's use Josh as an example.
Sure.
Perfect example. Josh probably, I have no idea what Josh did before the show came out.
He was in mortgages.
What, really?
Yeah, he was. So he had a mortgage license.
How much did that show?
The mortgage crisis kicked his ass. Got his real estate license. Did nothing for 6 months. Failed his real estate test twice. Then he started really banging it out, putting a lot of business together, and he got noticed by the show.
And that show now, does Josh go out and prospect anymore? Or do people prospect him?
Yeah, he's an attractor right now.
So the whole building the brand, Josh's brand is luxury.
Right.
Like, you see that guy and the guy just oozes money out of his forehead.
Right.
And that's from his suits he wears. It's the watches he wears, the cars he drives,
Yeah, I spoke to him yesterday, and he was getting ready to do an all-day open house at a $65 million listing.
Yeah, that's, personal brand helps accomplish a lot of that.
1,000%.
That's amazing. But that's all this is. Ultimately, it's just you being you. The thing I love about that show is that, and what I like about Josh is that he's himself.
Right. It really is.
That's just who the dude is. He's really
is.
Authentic in the way he comes across. He's not putting on a front.
Which is why, there's a lot of people I could have invited to this, to the conference, the Real Talk conference. And I really wanted him to be the keynote speaker because you're right. He really does come across as himself. He's genuine as it can be,
So let's talk about that. How many agents look for scripts? I don't even know what the fuck a script is. How are you going to script a conversation you don't know that's being had yet? I still don't get that. Everyone's like, how do you script this? How do you script that? Dude, your script is tell the truth.
Yeah.
That'll convert more business forever.
Yeah, I'm a points kind of guy. I have points that I should always touch in a conversation if I'm, making calls or whatever. And, I just kind of take a glance at it, make sure I discussed everything I was supposed to, But after time, all of that becomes natural. The more you do it, the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes.
I agree with that, 100%.
Mike, thanks for doing this with me, man. Everybody watching right now who loves what Mike Cuevas brought to the table, attraction versus chasing. Make sure you get your tickets at realtalkcon.com, realtalkcon.com. It's the Miami Real Estate Conference. There it is, Attractor right there. That is Mike's system. He's traveling the nation right now, introducing Attractor to brokerage after brokerage after brokerage. Crazy proud of you, man. I remember when this thing was getting put together little by little, and I'm glad to see where you're at right now with your business, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about it on August 15th, man.
Cool, man. Look forward to the conference. And folks, get your damn tickets. If you're in Florida,
Get them.
Get your tickets.
I don't care.
Get them.
Listen, if you're in fucking Nebraska, get yourself some tickets and come to Miami, dude. What the hell are you doing in Nebraska?
Yeah. Right. See, if you have this thing in the winter, all the Nebraskans and the Chicagoans and all the North people they're coming down.
Next year, I'm gonna do this shit in December, so that way everybody just comes flying down to get the hell out of wherever they are.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to the conference. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Thanks, brother, man. See you soon.
All right.
Thank you.
Peace out, buddy.